Well, hi, everyone. I'm Chris Stewart, president and co-founder of Pocket Radar Incorporated, also the lead entrepreneur in residence at Sonoma State. Welcome to this First Tuesdays event for December. First Tuesdays is a series of informal events held on the first Tuesday of every month of the school year. These First Tuesdays events aim to promote innovation at SSU and in the North Bay region by providing an opportunity for students to connect with seasoned entrepreneurs and learn more about our programs and potential opportunities to create new ventures. For more information about this and other SSU entrepreneurship programs, please visit sbe.sonoma.edu/entrepreneurship. Today, we are very glad to have Cristina and Michelle Wilson, two SSU alumni who are the co-founders and co-owners of Ooh La Luxe, a premier clothing boutique with 3 locations in Sonoma County. Michelle and Cristina Wilson's first business endeavor was a coffee cart they owned in college, which quickly expanded to multiple locations. After years of 4 a.m. shifts while putting themselves through school, the twins graduated from Sonoma State University and sold their coffee cart and used the money they made to open their first Ooh La Luxe store in downtown Petaluma. After their first successful year, they expanded by moving their shop to a new space more than 4 times the size of the first one. Next, they opened another store in the Santa Rosa Mall, followed shortly thereafter by an online store. Now, after almost 10 years in business, Ooh La Luxe has 3 locations, a thriving web store, 19 employees, and a loyal customer following. Co-owner Cristina is focused on buying, developing merchandising ideas and concepts, and managing operations and logistics. Co-owner Michelle uses her expertise as marketing director to do everything from photo shoots to influencer scheduling and all things Instagram. Today, Michelle and Cristina will be sharing a brief summary of the story of how Ooh La Luxe was launched and has grown and become one of the leading boutique clothing retailers in the North Bay. This will be followed by a Q&A session between Cristina, Michelle, and myself, and then a discussion on how to test new product ideas and new service ideas online. After this, Cristina and Michelle will answer some questions from students and the audience. Finally, we'll wrap up this edition of First Tuesdays with some important announcements by SSU Associate Professor of Entrepreneurship, Sergio Canavati. I will now turn it over to Cristina and Michelle so they can share their entrepreneurial journey and the story of Ooh La Luxe. Welcome, Cristina and Michelle.
Good morning. Hi, thank you for joining us. I'm going to start off by talking a little bit about our childhood, because that's really when we kind of started getting into being entrepreneurs. We were raised in my dad's motorcycle shop. We would go to work with him every day and we would watch him sell parts. And so growing up in his shop, my sister and I always thought like we want to sell stuff. Like it was fun to watch him interact with customers, and we knew that we always wanted to sell something. And, since we grew up in the environment, we would also, my dad would take us to flea markets and he would leave us at the table and we would sell all his stuff at the flea markets. And we really enjoyed that. So I think from a young age, we always enjoyed not even making the money. It was more about connecting with the customer, making a sale. We always enjoyed that. Mm-hmm. And we also, like when we were young, we had so many different businesses. We would sell bread. We would take bread from my parents' fridge and we would sell it on the side of the road to neighbors. Like we were constantly trying to sell stuff. It was just fun for us. And we were always interested in that. So as we got older, after high school, we both were working jobs. I nanny, babysat, worked at the Gap, doing visuals. Michelle.
I was a cake decorator and I worked at Baskin Robbins for a really long time.
And then we got to a point, I think we were 2021 and we were like, what are we doing? Like we want to have a business. And we thought about, we didn't have a lot of money. My parents didn't pay for our college. We weren't poor by any means, but we definitely, we didn't have a lot of money. And my parents didn't help us with anything. So we decided like, what's a business that we would enjoy doing where we can start on a small scale. And Michelle was working at Baskin Robbins at the time and they had a espresso machine. So we thought, well, maybe we should have a coffee cart because that seems fun and we could do it with school. We could get up early in the morning and it's a low overhead. So I went to a garage sale and we found a coffee cart. I think it was $400 or $500. And we said, okay, let's do this. It's gonna be fun. And at the time it was funny because neither of us really drank coffee. We didn't know that much about it. But we dove in, we bought the coffee cart. Michelle talked to her boss at Baskin Robbins. We got the espresso machine, and we went for it, and we were able to open at a truck stop, and we, had our friends come over and do taste tests, and, read reviews about coffee grounds, and got really knowledgeable about the drinks. And we had a successful first day, and we were able to expand that business to 3 locations at one time. This is over a course of, 3.5 years. And we would get up at 4 o'clock every morning, some mornings 3:30. It was really tough because we had Sonoma State school all day, classes till 7, and we would, work until 10 and then go to school. And we decided, we must have been 23 and a half. We decided after graduating, we want to start our clothing store. That's what we've been wanting to do. We've always been into fashion. So we sold the business pretty much at the perfect time, right before the economy crashed. And yeah, so we were able to sell it and use that money to start our first store.
Mm-hmm. And so I'll tell a little bit about our story of our store and the growth that we've had. But when we first started our store, it wasn't like we took out a loan. We took the money that we had from the first business, and it wasn't a lot of money. I think it was a lot for us, but it wasn't a lot now. It was like $12,000 we made off of selling our business, which was a huge amount for us. But I think in the business world, it's not, a huge amount. So we didn't take out a loan. We found a tiny, tiny spot inside of another store. It was in the loft space of another store. We saved consignment clothing in our bedrooms. We each had a clothing rack in our bedroom, and we saved up the clothes. We saved probably for a good 6 months to a year. And then we were able to rent a 500 square foot loft space inside of another store. I think the rent was $400 a month. It was $400 a month, so we could do it. And
it seemed like a lot at the time.
Yeah. And we ended up getting a really good customer flow. People didn't really know where we were because our spot was so hidden. And we were starting to do really well. We were starting to get a name for ourselves. And the people that the store we went out of said we're closing. And that was kind of a pivotal point for us, because we either had a choice to close our business or to do the scary step and expand and move into our own location on the street, which would end up going up to $3,000 to $4,000 a month in rent instead of $400 a month in rent. And so we took the turn and we moved into a huge space, the only space available at the time, but ended up being a great space for us. We've been there now for 12 years, and we were able to keep opening stores after that. And it's really been a crazy journey, but yeah, we've been in business for a long time now, and we've had a lot of ups and downs, and we've grown our brand, and we've had name changes and crazy things happen and all the fun along the way, but it's all been learning experiences. And that's the thing about business is I feel like you never stop learning. And so that's why we're here to share with you guys everything that we've kind of been through.
Awesome. So it's really great to hear you guys be able to share those kind of stories. A lot of common threads there for other entrepreneurs along the way. Didn't realize you had done the same thing we did and started right in the middle of the worst economic downturn.
Yeah.
Yeah, we learned a lot along the way ourselves that way. So
Yeah.
I have some questions coming in from the audience, and a few questions I wanted to kind of go over and tee up for you guys.
Yeah.
First one really is more about kind of what was your most memorable moment along your entrepreneurial journey?
The JoJo. So the most memorable moment, and it's like it was a crazy time for us. We took the plunge. We'd always done Instagram, but we'd never worked with an influencer before. And I was able to reach out to an agent of, JoJo from The Bachelorette. She kind of had been liking our stuff. So I reached out to her agent, and they said, she'd like to work with you. And I remember they said that it was going to be some big amount. I think it was like $10,000 to work with her. And my sister and I were like, that's like all our, like, I don't know if that's a good idea for us, because that's a lot of money. And so we were like, well, should we just try it? Like, and then we'll know if we should not do this again and just kind of lose out on that money if it's a bad choice. So we do it. And then the next day she posts, and literally like,
it was crazy.
It was like, we'd been used to making like 50 orders a day. That day we made $100,000. The phone was going bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
And we realized what kind of reach social media and influencers and reality stars and celebrities. We got, I think 60,000 new followers on Instagram. It was crazy. And so that was like a really like big point for our business, because we realized that if we work with influencers, it can grow our brand and grow our reach.
And and also at that point, we had just moved into our first warehouse space. Like we had literally gone from doing orders upstairs in our loft in our Petaluma store and walking into the post office to creating a huge like warehouse space where boxes were stacked up to the top.
There's a picture of my sister and I. It was the most boxes we've ever gotten, but we had to order more sweaters from JoJo's sales. And it's a picture of us sitting on top of like 30 boxes because we had to like work all night. We were working all night packaging.
We weren't prepared for that amount of orders. So we had to like ask our friends to help us package. We were up all night. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was great. It was fun. And it was a memorable moment.
Sounds like, yeah, no, pretty crazy, but pretty exciting all at the same time. So fun one to share with everybody. I appreciate that. So a couple of questions we got coming in from the students right now in the audience. So I want to kind of cue those up for you, right? The first question is from Sitali. Did I say that right?
Sitlali.
Sitlali. Go ahead and ask your question.
I just wanted to ask what was a big challenge or maybe something to expect to encounter as you expanded to a more global level.
Do you want me to answer? And Taylor, you can answer.
Okay, so it's kind of, we're not really allowed to say names, but one huge challenge that we had, probably the biggest one we've had yet, and I'm sure there'll be more to come, when we were 8 years into our business and we were kind of going through a stressful time because we had to move our whole warehouse in 3 days.
We just had babies.
We just had babies. It was like a crazy time. We get a letter from a huge corporation that is really well known, but we're not allowed to talk about the name, but we can tell you what happened. We got a lawsuit against us for our name, which is Ooh La Loft. It was too close to a corporation's name. And so we got a letter saying, if you don't change your name, we will sue you. And so we had to kind of rebrand. We didn't have a choice. And it was really scary. We were like, this is what we felt, worked so hard to build our name. All our customers in this area know our name.
And it was also right when we were like at our peak of our success. And we were like, well, you know, changing our name is going to change our brand. Like that's what our customers know us.
And how do we tell our customers when we're not allowed to talk about it? And how do we stay positive about it? So, but it ended up, every hardship we've had has ended up being a learning lesson. And that was like probably one of the best things we've done, because we got to change our logo. We got to change our website. We refreshed our brand, and we got to be more of like who we are at this time, instead of like how we started in our loft. Because our old name was Ooh La Loft, which didn't really make sense with our, so it ended up being a good thing, but it was really, really scary when it happened.
Yeah.
Great question and great story. So a good lesson for a lot of the entrepreneurs out there aspiring is to be careful when you choose your name, because there's
wisely.
Well, trademark. Yeah. The problem was we tried to trademark. So make sure to trademark your name if you have a good one right away.
Yep. And I love the story to help people understand. It's like all of these hardships you face become lessons along the way and opportunities to pivot and learn a lot from. That's a big part of the entrepreneurial journey as we go. Have some other questions from Jody Harlan. Jody, are you there? I don't know if she's muted. Right.
Yeah, I think Anthony Rosa has a question.
Okay, go ahead, Anthony.
I think this way.
Hi, so I just recently started a business earlier this year, and I opened an Instagram account just a few months ago, and unfortunately noticed that because of something about misinformation, they decided to close the recents hashtag page, which had been a great way for businesses to expand from a smaller scale with organic traffic. And I was just thinking, like, other than paid promotion or like large scale influencers, how would you suggest that I would adapt to that kind of situation to be able to grow?
Yeah.
Okay, so hashtags are not the main thing. I think that they're a good way to get your name out there. What we've been doing really well with, and gets more views than anything, and I think is kind of the way of the future is the reels. If you can start making reels or even sending
TikTok.
TikToks and reels, our reels will get, some of our reels have been getting like 200,000 views, and like the post only gets like a certain amount of likes. It's just, it's a really good way to get your brand out there. And because there's not a lot of people doing it yet, we feel like for us, it's been getting us tons of followers and a ton of new growth. But if you want to send us a message, we're open to like meeting with you. I mean, any of us can, but we're open to meeting with you and talking to you more one-on-one and helping you with that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great question, Anthony. Thanks. So I've got another one that I wanted to ask you guys. What were the biggest obstacles you had to overcome along the way?
Do you want me to?
Well, I mean, one of the main, the first obstacle was opening during the recession because businesses were closing. It was a scary time. It was a scary time to take a plunge and open a store when, you know, with such uncertainty. So that was, you know, it's hard. And then I would say, yeah, the lawsuit that we were involved in was very, yeah. And what else?
Yeah, I mean, we've had some, I think this is just anytime, like over time for any business, but we've also had, you know, issues with like people that we trust, because when you have a business for a long time, you have so many employees, like over the course of things, we probably had like 200 employees.
Yeah.
And so we've had people that are close to us that learn our business, that are interested in starting their own store, but maybe don't tell us. We've had stuff like that happen where like people will take all our brands and open, but you know what, we don't worry about that as much, because if you have a unique thing, you don't have to worry about other people, but just, you know, trust getting broken with dealing with other people. And then we had to move our whole warehouse in 3 days because the building we were inside of got red tagged, which was not our fault at all, but they said you have to get everything out. And so we were trying to fulfill orders, move things. That was kind of during the same time as a lawsuit, but other than that, this virus we thought was going to be huge. We were like, is this going to be the end of us? Like I think every retailer was like, what is this going to mean for, like, I think every business, or probably most people too, are like, what does this mean for like my life right now? Is it going to completely change?
Yeah, because we'd never had to close the stores at any point during our whole career. Yeah. And we had to close 3 stores
for 2 months.
And
then the fires, we had to close again. So we thought this is going to be a really difficult, this is going to be a trying time for us. And we had enough money saved to pull us through, and we were not able to get a loan, but it ended up being that the website was doing better than ever because we were focusing more attention on social media, which is a huge thing for us.
Mm-hmm.
So those are probably the main hardships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing that. That's really important lessons for a lot of entrepreneurs along the way. So a lot of things all come at once. You can't spread them out like you want to.
Mm-hmm.
They all hit you all at once. Yeah. So one of the questions from the students is, what do your future plans for growth look like? More stores? Is there a point in time where you might look for outside funding?
I think what we have talked about is that we love having our retail stores. We love setting them up, and just, it's fun to have that. But really our money has been with our website. So we are going to continue to grow our website presence. Eventually we would like to be the next Free People. We'd like to produce our own designs, which we have done some of, but not on a large scale. As for funding, I feel like we've grown so well organically with making more and then opening more, and then making more and opening more. We have never had a time where we're just like, let's do it and take it alone, you know? So I feel like for us, that's worked really well, moving with how much we make. But I won't say, you know, that would never happen.
We have had a couple like companies reach out to us to try and buy the business. And I mean, for us, it's really not about, it's nice to make money and it's nice to be comfortable, but I don't think for us, it's ever been about, we want to make so much money, and that, for us, we love what we do. And so to the idea of selling it, then it's like, well, we're just going to do another business.
Yeah.
And we've already created this that we love. So I think for us, it's about being able to have a dream, like, and grow it and see it through and like be proud of what we've created.
Yeah. Like creating something to be proud of. And
No, and you should be. You guys have come a long way, so that's great. So
Thanks.
I agree with you, right? If you already found what you love doing, right, then there's no point in selling it. Then I have to figure out what else I'm going to do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's great. So one of the other questions from the student is, about, do you get leads on the trends? Do you follow trends? Do you guys lead them? What is there some sort of design guide for, your brand of Bohemian Chic?
I feel like it's a little bit of everything. I feel like there are certain trends that we see and that we do end up following, and most retailers do end up following the trends. I feel like Michelle and I have always been lucky where as soon as we started buying for our store, we were able to sell the things really fast. I think we have a good eye, and we've had other buyers come in before, and we've trained other people to buy, but it never is as successful as when we buy, because I feel like we know our customers so well. And really, I feel like you can make anything sell if you advertise it the correct way. Like we wear the clothes, we'll try them on. Michelle does some of the try on hauls. Like if we love it and we want to wear it, we know our customers are going to love it and want to wear it. I do feel like we have created some trends on Instagram. Like last year, there was a rhinestone top and we had a blogger wear it and it blew up. Like it was on every single website. Like it was the it item. And I feel like that's happened to us a couple times from the influencers of stuff that we pick, which is really cool to see.
That's great. Yeah, no, there's some great tidbits along the way. I'm hearing from you guys as you're talking about all this stuff that I want to make sure we highlight for the aspiring entrepreneurs out there and the stuff, right? That one was really good. It's a big one is knowing your customers, right? Critical
Yeah.
for that. And then your earlier story with your dad was great. It's like, I think that's one of the main lessons for all the entrepreneurs out there is always be selling.
Yeah.
So that's something to learn. You need to have that critical skill. So we'll go back to the audience here. I don't know if I pronounced this right. Baljinder has a question.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I work for a small family-owned company, and we pretty much manufacture like organic coconut-based products, and most of our products are like sold at Whole Foods and whatnot. So the time that you guys started your business till today, what departments did you guys have to create, and what roles did you guys have to fill that you guys needed help on?
So many,
Everything. I mean, me and my sister started, it was just the two of us working like every single day. And then we realized, we need an employee. Like we can't do this. We can't go anywhere. We'd have to take turns taking trips, and like one of us would work like 10 days in a row, which was fine. We didn't care because we loved what we were doing. But we realized basically along the way, you keep realizing, like I can hire people to do this, or, like I'm really bad at accounting. Like neither of us are really good at math, which is funny because we have a business, but you get better at it. But a lot of it was like realizing what you're good at and using your gift that you're good at and putting all your energy into that. We're good at buying. I'm good at marketing. Christina's good at doing all the displays. So now we say, what do we love doing? What are we good at?
And what's going to grow the business?
What's going to help our business?
What can other people do?
Yeah. And then we've learned hire really good people for everything else that you can trust. And that's really helped us. So you can't be good at everything.
Yeah. And we were trying to like work in the stores, fulfill the orders, get back to emails, like do everything, and you can't, and you don't need to be doing everything.
But it's actually been interesting with the website because no one that works at our website, it's mostly like people that went to Sonoma State because, it's the local school, but no person that's worked at our website has had any experience with any kind of web stuff, including us. And so it's funny because it's so organic. Like we're always having meetings and stuff and saying, does anyone have any ideas? But we've been talking about this. Like we've never brought somebody in that didn't grow from the bottom up with us. We've never brought somebody in that's worked with a big company before. And maybe that's our next step.
Yeah.
We've never brought someone in that knows or has worked somewhere else that can give us a different outlook. And maybe that's our next step for growth. I don't know.
Because we kind of grow. Yeah. We take our employees, like our web manager was a stylist in Petaluma who graduated from Sonoma State, and she kept moving with us. She was good. So then we had her go to the warehouse. Now she's managing everyone at the warehouse. So yeah, that could be our next step, is going for someone that has a degree.
Thank you.
That leads really well to one of the other questions I've got here for you guys. What qualities or values in people and organizations do you look for when determining whether or not to do business with them or to hire them?
I mean, so a lot of the times, obviously customers, you know, you deal with all moods, but with our like clothing vendors, you don't get to know a lot of them.
We do have a handful that we are close with.
We do, yeah. Like if we can get along with someone good, then we'll like send them holiday gifts and
we send
us
pizza,
gifts. And,
yeah.
Like all of our top vendors, we sent pizzas, and they're all in LA. So we were going to LA every month before the, you know, quarantine started. But yeah, we have kind of our top, like probably 20 vendors that, and obviously what we look for in anyone is integrity, trustworthiness, you know, all the values you'd want in any kind of partnership. But you don't always get that. Is that what
did you ask about employees too?
Yeah, when you're looking to hire people, or you talked about hiring good people to do that. That's an interesting challenge for anybody.
Okay.
Well, there's a couple things that we look for when we're hiring, and that is, first of all, they have to be timely, because, you know, that's really important.
Mm-hmm.
And really, it has to be someone from all these years of doing it. It has to be someone that's our style, someone that we'd want to hang out with, someone that embodies our brand, somebody that, you know,
we have like an Ooh La Luxe culture, and we kind of look for people that
fit that culture.
That's exactly what we focus on as well, right? I think that's a really important one, right? Is once you understand what you want that culture to be, trying to find a good fit for that culture is a critical piece of the success to make that work.
And our team's so tight knit and close. Like we all have like dinners together and stuff.
Not right now.
Not right now, but nothing's happening right now. But you know, it's really important for us to bring somebody in that is like, it's like a big family. So we have to bring somebody in that everyone is comfortable with and that really fits our vibe and our ideals as a company.
And also, like, most of our employees have been with us for over 4 years. So we want to keep our long-term employees happy and have them happy with who we bring in too. So we do, you know, a lot of
It's a pretty long process to work for us.
But an important one. If you got to vet out that they're a good fit for the culture before you bring them in.
Yes.
So it's a big investment for people to understand, is you don't just start, you know, hiring, you know, and continue to keep the culture alive if you want to do that.
Yes.
That's really good. So one of the other questions we've got is, you know, how did you guys survive the pandemic? It sounds like, you know, you did a good job of switching from store over to online and stuff. You know, what does Ooh La Luxe look like in a post-pandemic world?
Well, it was funny because right when it happened, we were kind of like, oh, what do we do? You know, but then we started going to the stores and like looking around and cleaning out the backs and, you know, making them look nicer, painting, spiffing everything up, grabbing clothes that are like, oh, we've had this on the website. Let's bring it to the warehouse and sell it there. Doing phone orders.
Like it was kind of fun, like not fun. It was kind of fun in the middle because we would like be able to go in the store and no one was there and we could like bring our kids and like, I could like try on clothes in the mirrors and like, I didn't have to worry about time. I'd be like, I'm going to go to the store for a couple hours. And
yeah, because the stores are open 7 days a week. They're never closed, you know? So we never really get a chance to just sit and like be in the store. So I think we use the time, for improvements, making the store the best it can be, fixing things. And then we brought tons of inventory to the warehouse and sold it.
It gave us time to kind of sit and think about everything and kind of reevaluate like our business plan. And it ended up being like every other obstacle, kind of a positive thing.
Yeah,
exactly. I think that's the trick, right? You see that come up as an opportunity and a way to say, okay, let's pivot and figure out what else we can do better and make that work, right? So,
and I think that's part of being an entrepreneur, and probably like a lot how all of us feel, but it's always kind of exciting when you like can think of a new idea or like get it, even if it's like kind of dangerous, that you're like, oh, well, I could do this or I could do that. I think it's part of the entrepreneurial spirit is being able to adjust with change.
Yeah. And also we could have freaked out and, you know, we did have a little bit of a freak out, but we could have, you know, gone down a different path, but we chose to be positive, to say, we are going to stick this out. We're going to be okay. And we're going to do the best we can do. And that's all you can do.
We always try and go on the side of positivity, always.
It's a huge benefit to being a successful entrepreneur. I agree. So I think we all kind of freaked out a little bit when it first hit. Nobody knew what to expect. So a good job of hanging in there. So Anthony, Rosa has another question for you. Anthony, go ahead.
All right. So I guess this is kind of following up on the last one, but do you have any general suggestions about how someone in the very early stages of starting a consumer packaged good brand especially local, like focused locally, how they might use social media in general
Mhm.
in the very early stages to promote their product or brand.
I have one idea, and then you could talk about social media.
Well, okay, so we are going to talk about this at the end, but quickly, or should we just talk about it at the end? Because we're going to pretty much go over this, but
We just go over it.
but
Sure.
or should we talk about it now? Basically, there's a lot of different ideas that I have, and I would love to do it. We would love to have you reach out to us one-on-one because that's what we're here for, and then we can really work with you and your product. But we can kind of name a couple things, that would be
The biggest thing that I would recommend, and it doesn't even, you don't even need to do it on social media, but it helps, is reach out to places where you'd want to have your product. Reach out to people that you admire and you look up to. Reach out to people who have a following and offer them, you're going to have to offer them free products.
What is it? What is your product?
It's kratom. I'm not sure if you're familiar. It's a plant powder that a lot of people take for different purposes. It's a little bit controversial. It's something, not for people under 18.
Okay.
But how might I get in contact with you?
It's is our contact
Yeah.
information? I think it'll be up on the screen at the end of this.
You can
Yeah,
DM us
helpful.
on Instagram, or you can email us at info@oolalux.com.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Anthony, let me point out to everybody that Michelle and Cristina are both official entrepreneurs in residence for Sonoma State University and available to connect with them through the SBE link that we talked about earlier. So SBE.
Yeah.
So the entrepreneurship page at Sonoma State has connections where you can talk to and reach out to other entrepreneurs as well as Cristina and Michelle directly. So that's part of the charter here, is to help young startups and especially SSU students and recent grads. So they'll be happy to help you out. Great. So good question. So you talked a little bit about some of the risks along the way on that stuff, right? Can you share with us a little more about kind of some of the big risks that you had to take, in part of your journey all the way from the beginning?
I guess, well, even with a coffee cart, like it was a risk to go get up at 4 a.m. every morning. Like at one point we were in front of a nightclub and we had to drive our old pickup truck with a trailer on the back every morning at 4 to the nightclub. And, sometimes it was a little scary.
Sometimes people were out in the parking lot, like there was all kinds of, people on drugs. It was kind of like risky. Now that we talk about it, we're like,
Like,
oh my
what were
gosh,
we
like,
doing?
we were like these like young girls, like all by ourselves. Like my sister would drop me off at one location and it was like dark outside. And so, I mean, that was pretty risky.
That
I
was
think.
risky,
Yeah.
but that's a different kind of risk. But yeah, just like, I guess what we've always been lucky to have each other, but we've always come up with an idea and been able to execute it and take that risk. And I think the biggest risk was opening the first real big location, because it was so much more money than we were paying. And we were doing consignment and we decided to do new clothing. That was also a risk that turned out to be a blessing, because that's all we do now is new clothing.
We had all the orders going out from the Petaluma location's loft. So me and I think one other girl would package the orders at the end of every day. And so the other big risk was like, should we rent a warehouse space? Because my sister and I were pregnant and we were like, we're not gonna be able to like work in stores once we have these babies. And so we thought if we have a warehouse, we could bring the babies and we could still work.
Yeah.
And so we became pretty much working moms, like full-time moms that bring the kids to work. And
We like
so-
a playpen at the warehouse.
kind of like how we grew up, which is kind of funny that it ended up being that way. But it's really cool being an entrepreneur and being able to be with your family and have them see what you're doing, just like our dad did with us. And be able to spend time with your kids, and have them watch you work and grow up around that, I think is a really big gift, especially a lot of people now, have their kids in daycare all day and aren't able to do that. And so we're blessed to be able to do that. But the warehouse growth and, a lot of the like social media stuff, like we've ended up spending a lot more on advertising now. That's always kind of scary. We're like, is this worth it? Or like, but it has been worth it. Every risk we've taken has been worth it. I'm sure we've made some bad decisions, but yeah, we did. I guess the one thing we did start a pop-up in Corte Madera.
That was we kind of rushed into
wasted
that.
a lot. Well, we didn't waste it, but we always wanted to be in Corte Madera at that mall. Like we were like, if we could be there, that would be like cool. So we got a space across from Pottery Barn.
Yeah.
And they only let us sign a 3-month lease, and then we were going to stay there. And then they said, no, somebody else has a space. Basically, we learned not to deal with malls, but so we couldn't stay there, but we'd put like a ton of money into the space. So we were kind of like, why do we do this?
We didn't lose money, but it wasn't
a good move. And then people were like, why'd you guys leave? Like, did your business fail? And we're like, no, like we literally couldn't, the mall wouldn't let us stay.
And then we were thinking about moving somewhere else in the mall, and the mall was like, it's like quadruple the rent if you're in this spot. And so we decided not to, but it wasn't the best use of our time doing all of that work just to be open there for 3 months.
But
it was learning
lessons,
experience.
Yeah.
more great lessons along the way, like you said, right? So this is
Yeah.
one of the other mantras of entrepreneurship, right? Is fail early, fail often, right? Because you need to learn those lessons and understanding how to tweak your model to get there. So you talked a lot about the family aspect of that. That's one of the other questions that had come up was, how big a part would you say that the family and friends, played in creating the business?
I think for Christina and I, we watched our dad have his own business. Our uncle had his own hair salon. We were around business growing up. And so I think that in itself was inspiring for us. So I think that did kind of carve the path. But my sister and I always fed off each other, and we really didn't need anyone else to we were kind of raised to do our own thing and be independent thinkers. And we never worried about, we did have some friends that were like, I don't think that's a good idea. Or, you always have people that are willing to give their opinion. But one thing I learned from somebody that I looked up to, a businesswoman, was, and it's something that I always kind of think about, is if you're going to take advice from someone, take advice from someone that is doing what you want to be doing. Don't just take advice from everyone has an opinion. But so I always kind of took that to heart. And so I always think about that every time we were going to ask somebody else, is that person doing what I want to do? Are they successful? Do they seem happy? And if the answer is no, then I don't really, take it into account at all.
Yeah. Take advice from people that you want to aspire to be like. Don't just take advice from anyone, because with business, with anything in life, there are people that are negative, or they don't understand what you're doing. And a lot of people don't understand what entrepreneurs
Most
are doing,
people don't understand.
And sometimes people will be like, that's crazy, what are you guys doing? But we're like, well, this is how you grow. You keep moving, we have lots of ideas, and it's part of being an entrepreneur. But our friends and family have been supportive. And we've had friends that we've known since kindergarten that are still our friends, and they're very supportive. They say we're doing a good job.
They shop at the stores.
They support us, and that does mean a lot. And then also our husbands, when we first started, boyfriends when we first started, they helped us build the fitting rooms. They helped us build parts of the store, but we never let them get super involved in the inner workings of our business, which I think is
no one really has gotten involved with our business other than us.
We keep it that way,
or friend wise.
Our brother did work for us for a little while, but it's almost better, other than us, not to mix family.
Yeah, but it's also good to have examples of people that are supportive and show you how it could be done, which is really nice. And your advice is really good to kind of get advice from people that have done it or are doing what you want to do. So I hope everybody out there is listening. That's one of the reasons we have the Entrepreneur in Residence program at the school, to be able to give you access to that. That's one of the reasons I do it, is because when I grew up, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't have any examples of anybody in my life that had ever started a business, had ever done anything like that. So it was really a much longer journey. I wish I could have done what you did at 21. It took me a whole lot more years to get there, but I'm hoping that, we give people more of an opportunity to do that by the kind of advice that's available to them now. So one last question for you, and then we'll transition over to talking about your online stuff. What do you think is the biggest piece of advice you would give to a young aspiring entrepreneur?
I think realizing that it's important to do something you love. Do not do anything for the money. It never works out. Do something that you're passionate about, because whatever you do, it's going to be a lot of hard work and dedication, and you need to have that drive. And if it's not something you love, you're not going to have that drive. So I would just say, do what you're passionate about, do what you love, and people will see that you love it, and they'll see that you're passionate about it, and you'll work hard to achieve that goal.
Mm-hmm. And they'll love it too. People love seeing somebody that's passionate about something.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that passion shows through, and then it, that attracts the right other people that want to be passionate about it as well. I think that's awesome advice. So Great questions, great interaction with the audience. I really appreciate it. I want to transition over now. We're going to have you guys talk for about 10 minutes on, how you go about testing your ideas out online, and kind of give us a background and some advice on how that works for you and what's going on.
Okay. So it depends on the product. So, the gentleman earlier was talking about a product that you put in a drink, I think. So that would obviously be a different audience, but that brings me to the point of figuring out who your audience is. So number one, figure out who your audience is, who would buy this, and then you only focus on that audience. You don't get distracted by anyone else, because those are the people that are be buying your items. So if he sees a celebrity or a reality star that is maybe had something similar, then I would recommend what we have learned works for us and probably works for any product is if you can get a couple, if you can get mass quantity, or at least even 20 or 30 of the product, start sending it to stars and reality stars.
And be humble too when you
most
do
of them
it.
are free. Write to them on Instagram and say, hey, I'm a young entrepreneur. I'm a college student. I'm trying to do this dream of mine, and I'm trying to start something. Would you mind if I sent you this product for free?
Yeah, no pressure.
No pressure. Don't worry about posting about it. And then they're going to get it, and they're going to say, oh, somebody humble actually contacted me on social media, which is pretty rare. But a lot of people are just wanting to can I be your model, or can I get free clothes? And it's no, you have to work for it, So sending out product, and it's very easy to do. And maybe you have to send to 30 people before one person posts about it. But when the one person posts about it, you might get 50,000 new followers, or it might just be the right person at the right time. So that's something to think about. Number two is getting your logo and all your branding together ahead of time before you start showing your product. Because if people can't remember your product from another product, they're not going to be interested in, they'll just find something similar. So really kind of honing in, and this doesn't have to be expensive. You go on Etsy, you can find amazing logos. Later on, when you make more money, you can go back and craft it. You need to start an Instagram page before you start sending anything to anyone. Start an Instagram page. Even if you don't have content, then you start just posting quotes or posting pretty photos. Start adding people,
and comment and and interact with other people.
The other people that you want to be your customer, not just anybody.
Yeah.
So also, when everything's back up and going again, if you're selling tie-dye t-shirts, which is a big thing right now, go to the farmer's market, go to any market, go to local clothing store, say, I'm a college student. Do you mind if this is my dream. Do you mind if I sell a couple of these on consignment? I don't want anything up front. I just want to see if it's a good product, and if it's good in your store, maybe you could carry a couple, and then you're testing your product, and you can see if there's a need for it. If there's a need for your product, then it's
you'll know.
It's great. Yeah. You'll know right away. So there's those kind of tests, and then sending out to people. I'm trying to think of what else. I think those are the main things, and starting your Instagram page as soon as you get the idea.
And then once you start to grow, you can go on Yelp, get reviews. I mean, reviews are always a good thing, or Amazon, and get reviews.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing right now though, because when we were starting our business, the internet wasn't really a huge thing. And we started Instagram right when it started, but it wasn't a big thing at the time. It's huge for us now, but you guys have so much opportunity that we didn't have.
And you can Google anything. You can find any article. You can YouTube anything. There's so many ways to figure out information now. We didn't have that. So it's so cool. And there's even us, you guys can talk to us. It's a cool opportunity for people who are,
and we want to help other entrepreneurs, because when we were going to college, we didn't have the entrepreneurship programs. We didn't have anything. It would have been really cool to talk to somebody and at least just get ideas, push ideas back and forth. But, you guys have it made with Instagram and all the social media. It's amazing. And you can sell your products straight from Instagram. You don't have to even have a storefront. And that means no overhead. So don't go out. I mean, I would recommend not going out, taking out a loan and being like, oh, this is going to be my business. Start small is what we always recommend, because it worked for us. Test your product, send your product out, start your social media. Be humble. Send people, give your product away for free if you have to. Don't assume you're going to make a bunch of money just because you make a couple pieces of clothing or, create a product. It's going to be a couple of years before you see any return, usually for most people, unless you get lucky. and just to be okay with that and know that maybe you're going to have to work extra hard. You're going to have to work another job. You're going to have to keep going to school. And then this is going to be your side hustle. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's great. And that's what we did. And then at least you have backup. If your business doesn't work out, you can try something else and then you'll have your degree and you'll have a job and everything's still lined up. So you're not like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
And you didn't take out a huge loan that you have to pay back.
Great advice. No, I agree 100%. In fact, I really like your main phrase there is like, be humble, right? Don't assume that you know everything, right? One of my mantras, that helps me along the way is I try to learn something new every day and learn something from everybody I meet, right? So I've learned that the mantra is, know less and learn more, right?
Yes.
If you already know everything, you can't learn anything.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's one of the things that to really take in, because everybody you meet, especially if you're talking about dealing with customers in the entrepreneurship world, you're going to learn a ton from everybody you talk to and refine your message and your products and your business as you go. So, well, awesome. We really appreciate you guys both coming in and helping us out with today's presentation, but also with making your expertise and advice and experiences available to everybody on our program. So I'm going to hand it off to Sergio.
Thanks for having us.
And thanks so much for sharing your experience with us this afternoon. And I wanted to ask you, because you have a business model that requires that you, and I don't know if it does, but you can explain that to me too, that you buy the product first and then sell it to your consumers. So how do you test demand? How do you know what products are going to work and which ones are not going to work? And how do you adjust your inventory based on feedback, or what worked, what didn't work? What kind of metrics do you use? And the reason I ask is because in the entrepreneurship class, we always, we always go out and do customer interviews, but this next semester is going to be very difficult to get in front of people, right? So we're going to have to rely a lot more on digital statistics. So how can the students test different versions of their idea and see which one has more traction if they don't have $10,000 to spend on marketing and advertising?
Well, I guess the first part of the question for our buying, I feel like we've been doing it such a long time now, and we know what sells and we know what doesn't sell. Of course, there's times when we make mistakes, or like we bought like a rhinestone skirt for Coachella and Coachella didn't happen. So now, that's a product that we're stuck with. That happens. We've had a really good success rate with that not happening as much. For our in-stores, we order different things because we know it sells in store, fabrics that people could feel, like little, a little black dress with a strappy back will sell like that online, but it's not going to sell in store as well. So we kind of see, like with the trends and stuff, what is selling and what isn't. And then we have a set amount that we order every 2 weeks. So it's we have a system down, and then we know what quantity, but there are times like with the holiday collection where, I ordered a red dress and it sold like crazy because we had a blogger wear it. So we ended up, now we've probably ordered 200 or 300 of them. It's funny too, because sometimes one of us, like, I always remember this time we're at a buying show and like, we'll bring our managers with us sometimes. And then we'll have this game. It's like, okay, I'm like, I love these shoes. They're like fringy and they're leather and it's something I would wear. And then everyone else was like, ew, those are hideous. And I'm like, no, I'm really feeling strongly about these shoes. Like, I want them and I will sell them. And so then we all vote on it. And then, so we always each get to pick one thing that like no one else likes. And then we get to like kind of
it's on you if
make
it
fun
doesn't
of the
sell.
other people if it doesn't sell. But the fringe boots that I liked that no one liked were like the hottest seller. Like we had to reorder them like 5 times. So sometimes one of us will, I think like our styles are a little different too. Like I'm a little bit more like wild with the shoes and the jewelry, and as you can see, earrings. But so sometimes I'm like, I will like have that more wild customer. Like there's people like me that like a crazy shoe with fringe on it. And so sometimes we'll be able to pinpoint that person that might have a little more style, like similar to our own, and they'll buy that item. But usually we like to play it more safe
So we buy more basics that we know we're going to sell. And then the fun stuff we order less of. And then that fun party person can pick out the fun stuff and everyone wins.
Yeah.
And then the second question, what was this? It was marketing. It was something,
How
oh,
can
marketing.
students test different versions
Yeah.
of the idea, or which of the services would actually work?
I think what
could do a
would make the
poll,
most sense
too.
is the polls on Instagram.
Mhm.
We do it when we go on the buying trips. We'll be like, which one, left or right? And then like customers like, oh, 90% of the people like black.
So we'll
black
just,
dress.
yeah, they'll come back and order the black dress. So,
So
polls.
Yeah, it's amazing. And the most people see the stories and the reels. So on our stories, we'll have like 20,000 people seeing our stories, whereas the posts get like 2 to 10,000 likes depending on the post. So, which is still a lot, but so the stories, I think people are watching more. And so to be able to have the polls on there for any business, like it's such a wonderful idea. And
Or
you
send it to people that would use the product and say, do you like this? How do you feel about this?
most
know?
people are on their phone more now and they're more willing to answer questions and interact, you know?
Cool. I think the final question that I wanted to ask you was, what do you see the future of the clothing retail industry looking like? Because, for example, in wine retail, what we're learning is that now they are blending the in-person brick and mortar experience with the online experience, and we have the future of that industry is having personas that you can target online in a meaningful way rather than a blanket approach for everyone. So once the economy reopens, how will clothing retail evolve in your opinion?
I mean, I think online is the way of the future. I feel like it reaches more people. Like we have customers, some of our best customers are in New York or Texas or, Italy or, like all over the world. So it reaches, and then our boutique stores though, I think in a way retail, like some of the big box stores are kind of on the out and out just because people want, more customer service. They want like a unique shopping experience. And that's why a lot of people do like boutiques is because you're not going to see stuff that you see at Kohl's or Macy's. It's, it's cool brands, it's graphics, it's things, it's customer service. It's, we style people. So I think that is people, no matter what happens, are still going to want that.
I think retail will never die. And I think there's always going to be those people. We have customers that like, they have to go in the dressing room and they have to try on like every size of fabric. There's a lot of people like that. It's, and a lot of people aren't comfortable ordering online because the size is going to be wrong and then they have to return it. And I understand both ways, but there's never going to be, the internet's never going to beat going into a store and getting the feeling that you get when you walk into a space. And so I think for that reason that small business will always, like brick and mortar stores will always be around because I mean, I love going shopping downtown and we don't really go to like Kohl's or Macy's or anywhere like that. But every time we travel, we're like, okay, where's the downtown area?
Yeah, we're always
Where are
looking for the boutiques, like the queue.
Like it's fun for us. And I think a lot of people feel that way, that they want also like everyone wants the human experience and you can't get that. I mean, it's not the real human experience online. It's a perceived human experience. And I think just, everyone wants to get the interaction. That's so important.
And also when you go in a boutique, or at least when I go in a boutique and it's set up cute, and even Anthropologie, which is a larger scale, but it gets me inspired. Like I feel inspired when I leave, and I don't feel that way when I go online. I don't feel super inspired, but being like in an environment where there's music playing and someone helping the customers and you get to feel the clothes and see the colors together. Like it, I think people enjoy that.
We're very big on like aesthetic. And if you've been to any of our stores, that we work really hard on the displays and the feeling that you get. It's a certain vibe and we can't recreate that online. Even on our website, we've tried to recreate it. And people will come in our stores from Instagram. They'll be like, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to come in one of your stores. And they're like, it's amazing. Like it's so much more than what I see online, and that's just it. That's the answer is people want the
personal connection.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yes, I have been to your stores, and I was a fan of your company before you even joined the entrepreneurship entrepreneurs in residence program. So I really appreciate you joining us today. What really came through during your talk was your passion and your that you really love fashion, right? And then you use that even more than metrics to decide what to sell and what to offer. So I really enjoyed your discussion today and learning that. So I'm gonna wrap this up, but hopefully the students can continue the conversation with you offline, and they can make good use of the Entrepreneurs in Residence resource available to them. So thank you very much for joining us this afternoon for December's edition of First Tuesdays. And First Tuesdays is an informal series of talks, and we will do it every Tuesday of the school year. I keep seeing one of the former students from 451 in Chris Stewart's company. So as you can see, the entrepreneurs in residence have done more than just advise the students. So please join us in February and in March. We have really exciting speakers coming up in February and March. There won't be one in January because we will all probably be having a really good time during the break. And then on February, we will put out the application form so that people can sign up for the CWOOF pitch competition that will take place in April 20th from noon to 1 p.m. So I hope you can join us. Thank you so much, and we will see you again on the first Tuesday of February.